Welcome to the latest transmission of Rice Against the Grain. On today's show, I am joined by Pete Stone from the Sovereign Project. We're going to learn more about what the Sovereign Project is as we discuss all things legal fiction. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain content. You will also find links to all of my various channels as well as my social media. Make sure you're following both of my YouTube channels, Rice TVX as well as Rice Against the Grain. And due to censorship, make sure you follow me on other alternative platforms such as Rumble and Odyssey, where I do post up exclusive content. If you want to support Rice TVX, be sure to check out and join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to my videos with no ads, unedited. You will also get exclusive content and more. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video. Okay, joining me on today's show is a first-time guest, somebody who hasn't been on the show before, but somebody who has been recommended to me by several different individuals. Shout out to Dime Bar being one that's been persistent. Today, I am joined by Pete Stone from the Sovereign Project. Pete, welcome to the show. How's it going, my friend?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, man. And before we begin, we've been talking for roughly 30 minutes before we started recording, and I had no clue about you. I was telling you that before we started. I purposely want to make this a very organic conversation. I got a little bit of notes from your people and from Dime to get a little bit of an understanding. But talking to you, man, you are from my judgment of my vibes off of you, man, you're good people. You're very modest.
Thank you.
I appreciate the way that you look at things and view things. And like usually the first question I ask is, would you mind introducing yourself for people who are unfamiliar with you? But you said that this isn't about you.
No.
So I guess we're going to skip that question.
Everyone's heard the story. I'm an engineer. I'm just doing this thing, and it's boring. Let's talk about the message.
What kind of engineer? Do you mind me asking that?
Yeah, sure. Okay, then we'll touch on that. It's basically all sorts of engineering, electronic engineering, fabrication, metalwork, that sort of stuff, welding, steelwork, and all areas of weld and different areas of engineering, stuff like that. Fabrication work. I'm trying to build my own supercar, so
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
We've got a prototype. Just 2020 put an end to that project, so
2020 put an end to a lot of things, man. Okay, so you go from an engineer, 2020 happened, and then you got into this area. I know I'm probably off on a timeline, but you started getting into sharing your research in regards to law, legal fiction, straw man, whatever you want to call it. When did you start that area of research?
Oh, wow. I mean, I've researched everything. Basically, when I had access to the internet, I think it was in 1992, I got my first 56K modem, and I just started researching. Basically, what I was doing is I was watching the TV, and I noticed that felt that the news was lying to me, something wrong with it. And mainly it was global warming stuff in the early 90s. And I thought, this is a lie. So I started researching that, and it just led from one to another. And then every time something would happen in the news, I'd research it. So 9/11 was a big one for me. So, 2001, that happened. It did not ring true. So I started researching that. And throughout the years, I just researched everything. State-sponsored terrorism, how the stock market worked, how money worked, how law works. 2008, there was the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, and then there was quantitative easing, and I was hearing all this thing about the banks were running out of credit. I goes, hang on a minute, what's going on? This is not how money works. So I started researching that. Then I discovered how money actually works. Then I figured out what inflation truly is. And it just snowballed. And then around, I think, 2015, is when I started to realize that the global financial system was going to have a reset. because it's a Ponzi scheme. Okay. And by the year 2025, around that time, it looked like it was going to be reset. Then this is when I started warning people in 2015. I said, look, you better get your money out of the bank, get yourself some gold and silver. I think something really bad is coming.
Hey, speaking of, if you're in the United States, you can get a free ½ ounce of silver with my partnership from moneymetals.com.
There you go, and get some. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in sound money.
Yes, and it's the only way you can pay for things is with gold and silver, because that's the only way you pay. No one pays for anything because you're using promissory notes. But that's another.
Right. No, yeah, that is another topic. But it's really it's refreshing that somebody who actually studies law has a really good understanding and comprehension of money versus currency and how the banking system works, because that is obviously, I look at that as the modern slavery and how we're being controlled.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So yeah, I started studying money. Obviously, I saw the Great Reset was coming. Well, I didn't know about the Klaus Schwab stuff and all the rest of it. You know, I knew there was going to be a massive financial reset in 2025, somewhere around there. But then I saw some documentation that in 2017 that led me to believe that there was a lockdown coming in 2020. And I thought, oh, what's going on? And I suspected it was
just real quick, man. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just tread real carefully with this area.
Okay.
With word choices, because I do want to upload this to YouTube.
Yeah, I will not mention the V word.
Well, I call them vacations.
Yeah.
Jobs and vacations. They want to force me to take a job and take a vacation. People understand what we're saying.
And I won't mention a certain supposed illness that's out there.
Right. Well, I mean, we have COVID, and we had that experience. It's just certain verbiage. When it comes to like maybe a planning of something or something like that, that might be kind of going into treacherous territory. I got to appease the YouTube overlords here, man.
It's terrible.
It is, but this is the way that we get truth out. And that was something that too, I was telling you before we started recording about using YouTube to push people to other platforms. So it does suck to self-censor a little bit here, but I don't think we're taking away from the conversation by any means. So I'm sorry for the interruption. I'll let you continue.
That's fine. But yeah, so I was looking into that. So I could see that the lockdowns were being planned, started warning people. Everyone thought I was a crazy person. I believed it was going to be some sort of war, and I still believe that they were going to set up World War III around this time. And then I got onto the subject that they were going to do we can use the word pandemic, and but I already understood the difference between terrain theory and germ theory. I thought, well, that's not going to work, because you're not going to, infectious disease is fraudulent. It's a chronic disease. That's why you get ill. So I thought, well, that's not going to work. And then I heard they were going to fake it. And I thought, nah, people aren't that stupid. And wow, I was wrong on that one. So anyway, so what happened is obviously 2020 happened. And then a certain medical procedure was being mandated onto people. Let's put it that way. And millions of people panicking at this point. And this is when I had to speak out. This is when we set up the Sovereign Project, because I was trying to explain to people how mandates actually worked, because the average person doesn't even understand basic contract law. You can't just be mandated. Okay, this is not how a mandate works. You have to agree to the mandate in advance, and you do that in the way of a contract. So you would sign a contract with someone else agreeing that that person can mandate you sometime in the future. If that contract does not exist and someone tries to mandate you, that's a tort. That means a tortuous act, and you could get sent to prison for that, and you can actually sue that person trying to apply the mandate onto you. So I was trying to explain this to a lot of people, and what shook me was they didn't know anything. They didn't understand the power of the signature. They didn't understand basic contract law. They never even heard of what a notice was or an affidavit. They didn't even know what the word sovereign meant. And I was like, oh, no. So I thought what I would do is, and there's the problem with the truth movement and the freedom movement, if you like, there's a lot of people out there putting information that might be good, but also might be bad. And there's a lot of people getting caught out. So a lot of people in 2020 woke up and realized, oh, I don't like the law that's coming from government. I better research this magical common law that I've heard about. And then they were getting caught out in certain scams. Okay. So the idea of the Sovereign Project is quite simple. It's to take someone who knows nothing, you're complete noob to this, and we give you the foundation. We give you the basics. Okay. We can take you all away from being someone who knows nothing. And then you'll understand the different jurisdictions of law. You'll understand the difference between lawful and illegal. You'll understand how to protect your signature. You'll be able to go through and create notices. You'll understand how the police operate, how warrants are supposed to work, how courts are supposed to work. And you go all the way to affidavits. And we even show you how to use the lien process. So you have the ability to sue someone on your own without actually suing, without using a lawyer or an attorney. By the way, you do not want to hire a lawyer or an attorney because you give up your rights and everything. You become a simpleton in court. You're laughed at. You have no rights. But that's another subject.
No, real quick. What you said reminded me of a quote from Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
That those who surrender freedom for security will not, nor do they deserve either one.
Correct.
Because that's a lot of how I think people kind of got duped into believing what was being said, what was being presented by the mainstream news.
Yeah.
And then you mention sort of like information that's out there that could have some good information mixed in with some false or bad information, whether that is knowingly being done or unknowingly being done, because some people think that what they know is the truth, but they may be wrong. And maybe they're not malicious in that. But before we started recording, I was talking with you about the idea of controlled opposition. I mean, obviously with what you said, there's misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah.
So misinformation could be where somebody is like thinks they're right, but doesn't have it right, and they're teaching somebody wrong. That's misinformation. But then there are individuals that I feel like are plants by whomever that are being put into these positions to promote their teachings, which end up getting people in trouble or take away from the truth that people might have actually found, because if you mix in enough lie with truth, then it's hard to distinguish between the two because now I guess one thing I would ask you, Pete, is when I started researching all of this stuff, all these various things that you've talked about, going all the way up to the law stuff, you go down one rabbit hole, you start seeing that there's connections in some of these rabbit holes. Then you start realizing it's just one big old rabbit hole.
Yes.
And when you kind of get down to the nuts and bolts, the root problem, to me, this all comes down to spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that and your thoughts?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I do believe that. It's this is a spiritual war that's going on. It's evil versus good. And unfortunately, there's a lot of evil people in this world. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too deep on that sort of stuff, but you've got to have morals and principles to be able to speak out, and not many people want to do that, which is a bit sad. But yeah, there's a lot of evil in this world. I mean, when you study the system and you realize the roots of the system, that it's basically the theft of babies that are then put into bondage slavery for the rest of their lives based on a corporate legal fiction. When you understand that, and the entire financial system is based on that, the entire justice system is based on that, the police are involved in this. When you understand that, and anyone who says that the system's fine, it's just the people who run it that's the problem. No, you're wrong. The system itself is inherently evil, especially when you start digging deeper into illnesses and where cancer comes from and all the rest of it. And some of this stuff that I studied and realized, and when you understand how money actually works, and you understand where credit comes from, and you understand about the Sesta KV Trust, when you start figuring all this out, then you'll actually understand the truth behind the certain medical procedure that's going on. But I don't want to get into that too much.
Okay, now listening to your voice, you sound with that accent. You don't sound like you're an American. You don't sound like you're an Australian. You sound like you're in the UK. Like, are you British?
Yeah, well, I say England because the UK is a corporation. I have nothing to do with the UK.
Okay.
So the land that I live upon is called England. In fact, originally it was called Albion. And even England's a jurisdiction you don't want to enter. But yeah, I mean, I've been all over the place. I don't have an accent that's limited to, say, Liverpool or Yorkshire or
No, you
London.
don't. No, you don't sound like a proper Londonian or anything like
Nope.
that either. No, but I
I'm from
just wanted to distinguish because I'm in the United States. I interview a lot of people from different parts of the world, and I don't necessarily think that and I could be wrong, that what works in England is going to work in America. There
Oh,
may be
something works all over.
there may be some similarities.
No,
You're
no.
saying it's all the same?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sovereignty is universal. I think I understand where you're coming from. I know what you mean. This is where a lot of people get into this common law thing and they start getting into acts and statutes and this sort of stuff. Yeah, acts and statutes within the UK corporation does not operate in the United States of America corporation and vice versa. But that's not law. That's corporate policy.
Well, here in the United States, there's some people that talk about status correction, where you would get rid of being an U.S. citizen and become something else, and that wouldn't obviously correlate in the UK and any other. It's a very United States of America based thing.
Yes, but what I want to make clear here is it's not you that you're correcting the status of. Your status is fine. Your status is already sovereign. That's the living, breathing, natural man or woman. Okay. Your status is, once you reach the age of consent, you are now sovereign. Okay. What you're actually correcting the status of is your legal fiction, the corporation that was created when you were born. Okay. Because at the minute, that is in the lowest jurisdiction there is. Okay. That's a citizen. You're operating in a democracy. By the way, a democracy does not mean voting. Democratic, the word democracy comes from the word democratic, which means sovereign people. There's no voting in a democracy, right? There's no political parties in a democracy. There's no central government. The court is the government, and this is where the sovereigns go to sort out a dispute. But the democracy that people think they're operating in is basically the jurisdiction of the debtors. You are the plebs, the slaves. That's what and it's operating under maritime law, and it's actually called pirate democracy. All right, but that's the lowest of the low, and that's the citizens. But what you need to do is you change the status of your birth certificate. This is the corporate one, but not the live certificate of birth. That's a separate. You probably never see that. But you get your normal birth certificate, the corporate one, and you change the status of that, and you'll lift it up, and you'll actually turn it into like a foreign national. And now you've moved it above the lowest jurisdiction. I don't want to get too into that because it is very complicated. You have
but that's something that if people wanted to learn more about what you're saying and do deeper dives, they could go to your website and get more information and be able to get involved with the community. Be able to get involved with yourself and others that are involved with the Sovereign Project. So I want to make sure I got this link copied and put it up on the screen here as we're talking. So, okay.
Yeah.
You said a lot. I want to pause you for a minute real quick. When you started going down this research of law, legal fiction, are there or were there any individuals, YouTube channels that you point to as being somebody that you've learned from, good information?
Yep.
Concise information. I've got two names that someone threw out to me. I want to see if they come back out your mouth by any chance.
I do like Peter Wilson. He's great on that. In fact, he's good on the history of how the birth certificate came to be. He'll go over like 2,500 years of the Venetians, the Unum Sanctum, the three trusts that was set up, all this sort of stuff.
I think we went through all of the three different Unum Sanctums. Yeah.
And you can look this up. In fact, anyone listening to me, don't just take my word for it. Go and look it up. Okay, you can look it up. Let me just see if I can bring up a list, because I have a list of people. Because I want to say, can I
mention the two that were said?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, one was Jordan Maxwell.
Yes.
Two was Justinian Deception.
Yes, Romley Stewart.
Okay, I talked to Romley. I've been trying to get Romley on the show. I point to Justinian Deception as being a good place for people to get that foundational understanding of stuff. Everything on that channel is great information. Because of what's going on in Australia, he's terrified. It actually kind of has upset me to because I've been practically begging him to just do one interview. I was like, you don't have to show yourself on camera. You know, you need to we need to have something beyond what you have out. Like, I would love for you to be able to pass on some more information from your research to everybody else, you know. And he's in this position where he's just really, because of what's happening in Australia, threats to him and his family, what happened to his partner.
Oh yeah, I heard. Yeah, I watched it. You know, I
Now,
know
the Peter Wilson, I've interviewed him twice. I haven't reposted those interviews on Rice Against the Grain, my new channel, but I'm getting ready to, because he will be back on the show. But people can find those interviews on my Odyssey channel right now if they want to. But I'll let you continue, because I definitely like to hear what other people have to say about individuals.
I mean, here's the thing as well. There's a lot of people out there that are sort of precious with the work they've done and say, oh, it's mine and you've got to pay me before I give it to you. Well, the Sovereign Project, we give the information away for free. It's copyright free. All right. You can.
I was going to ask you, you ruined one of my questions, man, because I was going to be like, you've told me, you talked about all these beautiful things that you guys have been researching and information you share. How much do you charge for this service, Sovereign Pete?
Nothing.
I love it, man.
It's free. So now here's the thing with research. The word means you're doing it again. You're searching again, research. And then what are you researching? When
now you sound like Jordan Maxwell.
Yeah, he's really good. And he's right on a lot of stuff.
But you are someone else searched it. It was already there. You're just you're searching it again, because otherwise there would be nothing for you to, you would have to search for it for someone to be able to research for it, because it would have to be available. Because when you're searching, you're finding and discovering.
Yes. And it's someone else's work. I mean, where do you research from? In a book? Well, someone else wrote that. Or you go online, you go on a website. Well, someone else created that. Or someone's done a podcast. Well, someone did that. Or someone did a PowerPoint or a presentation or did an event. So this is why I don't like it when people say, oh, it's my work. No, it's all of ours. I'm just doing my little bit. So there's some people that I like. I'm not saying that I agree 100% with everything they say. Okay. So I like David Icke. Okay. I like a lot of the stuff he talks about. I probably disagree with him on certain areas, but overall, I like what David Icke has to say. Now, some of the people I would say that is worth looking up is obviously Romilly Stewart, the Justinian Deception. Peter Wilson, we spoke about. Robert Odeck of the Observation Deck. Okay.
He's been on the show too.
Yeah, he's good. Alphonse Fagiolo, I think.
Another guest been on the show.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Alphonse, good people. I like Alphonse.
I like Alphonse. Now I hope I get this name right. Santos Bonacia, I believe.
Santos Bonacci.
Is that what it has?
Yeah, he was living in Australia. Now he's in Mexico. I've been trying to get him on the show. He doesn't really talk much about the maritime stuff. And to me, like, I like him, but I feel like if you really want that information, you should just go to Jordan Maxwell. Maxwell covers it way better. But if you want to get more insight, Santos does cover stuff in regards to the maritime admiralty law. I don't get into his astrotheology stuff.
No. I don't, and I think the veganism stuff needs to be readdressed as well. but
yeah, I mean, again, but like you said, I mean, even people who I don't necessarily endorse, I still feel like some of those people have some valuable information to share.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I have a feeling that all these people I'm mentioning have good intentions. Right? Yes. I don't feel like they're trying to trap people or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't think you would be vetting or mentioning anybody that you didn't personally think wasn't harming other people.
No.
That's what I kind of gathered from you. So that's why I was really, really curious as to like people who you would mention.
Yeah. Hornsey Wood. Probably not heard of him. He's really good on the birth certificate and on the limited companies, that sort of stuff.
What's his name?
Hornsey Wood. He does have a... He doesn't
like Hornsey, like horns.
Hornsey Wood. I think that's his chosen name, and he is on YouTube. It's called the Hornsey Wood Academy.
Okay. So I have to check him out. I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah, he's really good. If you can get him on as a guest, have a chat with him. He doesn't use his surname. I mean, I don't use my surname, so you know, no one should be using their surname. It's
I
not
thought your
your.
surname was Pete.
Well, that's a Sovereign Pete is a nickname. But my last name is Stone. That's a family name, not a surname.
Right, you're like Peter of the Stone family.
Yes, that's right. Chad Mannion is really good. He's in England, not the UK. He's really good on courts. Oh, James C. Lovett's pretty good. He's got a YouTube channel. He's more for American. He's into the UCC stuff and all the rest of it. He's got some good stuff. BB Bacchus.
I've interviewed her twice. I'm supposed to be taking her course. When she offered it to me, I wasn't able to take it due to traveling. I can't 100% say that her methods work, but I do like her information and what she shares.
Yes, the information. Yeah, can we also mention about methods that work? There is no method that's 100% perfect, because there's people out there going, does this method work? I don't know. It could be the best one ever written and it could still fail. The system does not follow its own rules. So people are looking for this magical remedy that is 100% successful. You will never find it. It does not exist. Okay. I mean, once you understand how the court system operates, and they don't follow law rules at all, none. Law does not exist. Their own rules don't exist. See, if you go to court, which is a big mistake, you're entering a foreign vessel in dry dock. You are leaving the jurisdiction of the United States of America. You're at the mercy of the captain. But anyway, that's another story.
No, but I do. I mean, these are things that I would like to deeper dive into as we have more conversations. I did want today to be like very introductory, like getting to know you and getting an understanding of the Sovereign Project. And again, I'm really digging the conversation. I like your vibes. I appreciate the fact that you're I probably even put you on the spot for having you name people, because I don't think there's even like in your forte of things, because of the modesty of you and the way that you're very humble as well. That was the word that I was looking for that I couldn't think of, was humble.
Humble, yes.
So you think that, so what you're saying though is like, you can't just follow a common law method. You can't just follow a UCC method. You can't just follow a SPC method. Because from what I'm starting to understand is you just need to have a good comprehension of how all these things work, and they're all tools that you need to use whenever applicable. So like if I have to hang up a picture and I'm going to ultimately have a nail and I'm going to have to pound it into the wall, I'm not going to use a screwdriver to pound that nail into a wall so I can hang that picture. I'm going to use a hammer, because I might be able to get that, you know, it might work with the screwdriver, but it's not going to be as easy as using the proper tool that you're supposed to use. And that was one of the things that I've got from Alphonse, even though Alphonse probably disagrees with a lot of the stuff that I've been researching, the Patriot mythology aspects of it, but his comprehension of the law is insanely sick. It's almost like my cousin Vinny. I was like, it sounds like you basically went to school to be an attorney, but just didn't go through with being an attorney and take the bar exam.
Yes,
because he's so knowledgeable, and it feels challenging to think that we could have that knowledge as well.
Yeah, and he's sharing it, which is what I like.
Yeah, because it's a lot. It's a lot of. He's chopped down a lot of people's research with time and saved people a lot of time with sharing good information for free. For free.
Yeah, absolutely.
So beware of the. I'm not saying that everyone that charges for their time and services are bad people, but just really fact check what's going on without having to speak negatively about anybody. Anybody who's charging for anything in regards to this subject of law, sovereignty, really second guess and question everything about it. That's all I would say. But again, some people do need to make a living and need to be able to do this, but just just make sure you're doing your P's and Q's and checking out these people, because like, as I was telling you, Pete, before we started recording, there's been several people who I've interviewed that I wish I never met in my life, that I wish I never interviewed, that I wish I didn't have to do any damage control on. And I'm diving back into the legal fiction stuff. And I'm glad that I got to have this conversation with you, because again, this is so refreshing compared to talking to blah, blah, blah from blah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I hope all that made sense.
That made sense. It made sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, going back to the the payment sort of stuff, I have no problem with people charging for their time, because I would, if I was going to use someone's time, fine, not a problem, I'll pay them. But it's the information itself. If they turn around and say, I've got the information here, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you pay me, I'm like, come on, give the information for free. Okay. But a person's time. I mean, I've done some speaking events, which obviously is a paid event. There's tickets, and obviously I get paid for going, and it pays for the hotel and the petrol and all the rest of it. So that's not a problem. But I just think the information itself should be free. But the rest of it, you know.
And too, if and I don't have to mention anybody by name by saying this, but if someone is telling you that you can pay for these services initially with a credit card and that they can get those credit card fees wiped out and the money returned to you, and basically everybody gets paid except for the credit card company, then you might want to question those entities.
Absolutely.
And I will dig in more on that in another video without Mr. Pete.
But yeah, so anyone watching this, don't pay money up front. Don't hand over your power of attorney. Don't use credit cards to pay someone's bill that they say they're going to do something for you in the future. Don't do that.
Especially if someone's saying that they're going to do something for you. You need to be able to do this yourself. That part of being sovereign is putting your big boy and your big girl pants on and being responsible, self-governing, being responsible, shedding the limited liability aspects that this world has provided you, and take full accountability for all your actions and everything. So just thought I would add that in.
Absolutely right. There's too many people out there saying, what do I do? They're asking, what do I do? And I can't tell you what to do. That's not the sovereign mindset. All I can do is give you information. You judge the merit of the information on the information itself, and then you make a determination whether or not you want to use the information. That's what a sovereign does. The sovereign never ever asks, tell me what to do. Only children do that. So it's a mindset. You've got to change your mindset. And I will give people information. If it's useful to them, fine. If not, don't use it.
I want to let people know, Pete, I'm going to have links down below also for your Odyssey channel and for the main website. And if people scroll down to the bottom of the website, you'll see other socials. You'll find a Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, Gab, MeWe that you can all follow and get more information on. I want to take a moment here and really focus in and just dial in on the Sovereign Project.
Okay.
If you don't mind. I want to kind of get a better understanding of what the Sovereign Project is and what people can expect if they decided to, I don't know, is it become a member? Because I see member resources. Is that how you would determine? Okay.
We use member in quotes, okay? Because I don't want followers. Yeah, member. It's
that goes back to your humbleness, man. You don't want followers, but I'm sure you probably have people that call themselves disciples of Pete.
Well, I hope they call themselves sovereign. This is what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make people sovereign. And when you become sovereign, you won't follow anybody. You can have respect for people. There's nothing wrong with that. You can stand side by side. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't follow them. You know what I mean? So some of the language that we use, we try to avoid. I mean, we don't tend to use the word community. we stay away from that. If you understand what a country is, and you understand it's a corporation, you understand what a country is, you understand what a county is, you understand what a community is. Basically, a community is a group of people controlled by the state. It's based on a commune. So you have to be careful of the language. This is the reason why it's a globalist buzzword. They love using that. Because what they like to do is they like to separate everybody. You know, they'll do a gender or a race or whatever it is and put people into little groups, and then they separate everybody, and then you get everybody fighting.
Well, you can't stand together when you're divided.
Exactly. But you have to treat everybody as an individual. Everyone is unique. Every single person is unique. So you start treating them as a unique individual. We don't use collective terms. We don't use they, okay, or we in the general, okay, or our in the general. We don't use these words because it's like people say, our government. It's not my government. Or we're at war in the Middle East. I'm not. I never authorized that.
Yeah.
Or we're printing money too much. I'm not doing that. The
Right.
government's
You're doing that. Not me, not we.
exactly.
There ain't no we here. Me's not
There's no
included,
we
sir.
here. So yeah, you bring everything back to yourself, okay? You don't become part of the collective. You don't become part of the herd. If you're sovereign, you're not a herd animal. You become the wolf.
Okay.
So the wolf is about honor, okay? A wolf is someone who's sticks to their word, okay? When they say something, they will do it. They are decent people. They are honorable, polite. You can trust them, but you don't cross them, because if you cross them, they show their teeth and claws, and then you go, whoopsie daisy, I made a mistake. I'm dealing with a wolf, aren't I? Yes, you are. I like to be a nice guy. I really do, until someone crosses me, and then I'm not nice anymore. And that's what we teach at the Sovereign Project.
I call it don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah, I will be kind, but if you know, at the same time, like if I need to, the American pit bull will definitely rear its teeth and bite into whatever is closest to it. So, anyways.
Yes, I agree with that mentality. But this is where so many people are failing, because their mindset is all wrong. They are still in a slave mentality. I get questions where people say, am I allowed to do that? A sovereign would never ask that. Are we allowed to do that? Change your mindset. You've got to change it. So what I tend to do when we do a live workshop every Thursday where I live here. Okay. And so I go through it, and it's the same thing every half an hour at the beginning of the session is the same mindset stuff to break the slave mentality, to stop being a slave, stop being a pleb, stop being a doormat. So I go through that, and then I go through a new topic every evening, and we go through lots of information like notices and affidavits. And it's a 22-week course, so I can take someone from the beginning to the end, and they know quite a lot more than they started out of. And we've got multiple workshops running all over the country now. So if you're in England, go on the website. There is links to the various workshops that are operating.
Where would that be at on the website?
Yeah, there is. Let me see.
Would it be under the members resources?
Yeah, have a look underneath there.
There's mindset, language, and paperwork. I would have to be a member, I guess, in order to gain access.
Yeah, so you have to log in because some of it's.
I'll get a login for the next time that we have a conversation, so I can share these things a little bit better.
Okay, no worries. You could try the. I think there might be. When I don't do the website, I have someone else who does the website for me. She does a lovely job.
No, it's a beautiful website. I was going to ask you one of my questions. I was actually going to ask you by looking at the colors, the black and yellow. Was that chosen specifically for a reason?
Yes, that's gold.
It's gold. Okay. Was it anything to do with voluntarism?
Yes, it is. It's also a nod towards true money, which would be gold. So gold itself is considered the immortal metal. It's also considered God's money if you're religious, and it's basically the foundation to the system and what's going on. The people within the system have stolen the gold from us and the silver, because the silver was used to be for the commoners, okay, and the gold was for the noble people, but they took the silver as well. And they've given us a monetary system that has no value at all. It's debt-based, okay? So the yellows there is to signify the gold. It's like a nod to people saying, you might want to get yourself some gold and silver. There's a big reset coming, everybody.
I do. I mean, I do promote that. I look as a small tangent. I look at precious metals. Here's the way I kind of combine it. Precious metals is for my present, to preserve what I have. I am a crypto person. I believe in decentralized cryptocurrency. So when we see the introduction of a CBDC, people will appreciate what Bitcoin specifically is versus a CBDC. That is my way of being able to expand upon what I have and grow my wealth. Because gold and silver is not going to grow your wealth. It's just going to maintain what you have. It's like in 1920 in the United States, you could buy a nice suit for $20 or an ounce of gold. An ounce of gold was $20. Today, you cannot buy a nice suit for $20, but you still can buy a nice suit for an ounce of gold, which is roughly what, $16.50, $17.50, somewhere around that price range in the US dollars. You can still buy a suit with an ounce of gold. So it's maintained its purchasing power. So when people invest in gold and silver, you're not doing it thinking that you're going to accumulate more US dollars, because that's ultimately The fiat system is designed for all of your savings to be depleted. There is it's discouraged actually, because the longer you save money, the more purchasing power you actually lose. You would have been able to buy more before you put it in the bank for 10 years than taking it out and spending it. So sorry for the sidetrack, but yeah, gold and silver, and then barter abilities, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, have you heard of the gold backs over there?
Yeah, I have. I don't have them handy, but
Okay. You
actually,
got some.
moneymetals.com that I'm partnered up with, they have
Yeah.
them.
Oh, right.
They are beautiful. They have like, have you seen them?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to get them here over in England. So I have a gold specialist that I'm working with, and we're trying to broker a deal to get these gold back
I saw
notes
one for Ireland.
over here.
They have one for
Ireland.
Ireland now.
Oh, that's good.
I was trying to see if I could pull it up here.
But there's no English note. I don't want a UK note, clearly. In fact, don't put UK on the note.
Don't put the corporation. Yeah, here's
Exactly.
Ireland Kingdom of
Oh, look at that one.
Green.
I didn't even know that existed. Ireland's
Yeah,
got
it's fairly new. Yeah, I love this idea. But now these things look like basically like artwork, man.
they
So
do. Look
people
great.
don't want to spend them. But there's actually like in the bill itself,
Yeah.
it
Real gold.
doesn't show as well on these.
They
I
look
guess
better in real
this is
life.
it right here. This would be it right here.
They
But
look great.
there's actual gold, and the bills themselves come up with the smallest amount of gold, which is 1/1000th of an ounce, which would be, if gold was $1,700, 1/1000th would be $1.70 worth of gold.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating, man. It's cool that you know about gold backs. I'm very fascinated that you understand the monetary system. But now again, people in the UK can't take advantage of the free half ounce of silver. But if you're in the United States and you want to get that free half ounce of silver, you can order $100 worth of gold backs and get a free half ounce of silver. It's just it's a killer deal for people.
Yeah, get into it. It's great. I mean, talking about gold itself, I think it's heavily undervalued at the minute. It's suppressed. So, I mean, talking about the suit analogy, you know, say $1,700 for a suit. Well, Donald Trump's suits are about 6,000.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I didn't say you could buy every
I'm
suit,
saying,
but you can
no,
buy
no, no.
a suit for $1,700.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is gold should be closer to $6,000. It's still cheap at $1,750.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the price of gold and silver and all other precious metals is based on paper trading, like
I know.
derivatives of the actual
physical
gold. That's why when you go to a shop, let's say right now, and I don't know the correct price. I guess we're recording this on the 31st of January. If I go to moneymetals.com, it shows gold is 19. Oh, it's up 5%. It's 1935.
Okay.
Silver is $23.93, so basically $24. But if you go to a local precious metal dealer or a pawn shop or something like that, you're not buying an ounce of silver for $24.
No.
There's going to be a premium on it because they know it's worth more than that market value price that's determined by bunches of pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to add that in because it's like it really is like a fucking Monopoly game, man.
Yeah. You don't want to be using these dollar bills or pound notes at all. There's so much intertwined with them that the average person has no clue. Not only are they worthless, but you've agreed to pay tax on it because it's not even your note. So because you in your country, you use dollar bills, and that's owned by the Federal Reserve. It's a Federal Reserve note. Well, even if you work for it and you get given it, it's still not yours. You just have use of it, okay? And because there it is.
You remember these?
You got to pay tax on that because you're using it.
Well, this right here is a silver certificate.
Oh, is that an early one? Let me see.
See,
yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. That's an early one. Okay. It doesn't say Federal Reserve note.
No.
That's an early one. What's that? Before what year is that then?
It's like late 50s, early 60s, I believe.
Yeah. It changed. Was it 68? It changed to a Federal Reserve note. Is that right? Have I got that right?
No, the Federal Reserve note was introduced with the Federal Reserve basically like in the 1920s, 1913, somewhere in that
Yeah,
time frame.
but didn't the notes continue? The certificate ones, the silver certificate notes, they
They just
continued.
discontinued them. They don't.
Right.
Yeah, they discontinued. It might have been around that time period because that was when JFK was trying to
Yeah,
potentially introduce like the Treasury having a silver-backed dollar. You know, he
yeah,
was one, and that might have been part of the reason why
yeah.
that
One
and
of
other
the
things of why he might have been taken out.
absolutely.
But yeah, money is the root of it all, and that's how this whole commerce system that's attached. I mean, because it makes complete sense, kind of going circling back to what we were saying earlier about you kind of going down the rabbit hole of money,
Hmm.
banking, currency, and getting an understanding of that. And then when you start understanding and getting a comprehension of the legal system and law, you understand how they work in conjunction together
Yeah,
because the currency is for the maritime commerce.
correct. Yeah, you
Very,
got that.
very, very interesting, man. So I'll let you continue about the Sovereign Project. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, no worries. Sovereign project stuff. Yeah, yeah. Now, the Sovereign project is set up for, like I say, for someone who's just waking up. A lot of people woke up in 2020. Okay, they thought, "Oh my word, something is really wrong. I better learn some common law." That's what a lot of people were doing, and unfortunately, a lot of people began to panic because they realized they didn't know anything, so they didn't know where to start. And a lot of these people got caught out. They ended up online, and there's a lot of scammers out there or people with misinformation, and they got pulled in and they got burnt. So the idea of the Sovereign Project is the website is expanding. We're adding more stuff to it as we go along, but it's designed to take someone who's completely new to this and teach you or show you the basics. So all the paperwork on there is free. It will go through the plebtorial system, so it will explain the plebtorial system to you, so you have a good understanding of what's going on. That will show you for the first time how to read, because a lot of these documents that governments send out are not written in English. They are written in like a dog Latin. They use symbolic language like American Sign Language, and they also use a completely different dictionary, which would be Black's Law Dictionary. So we show you that, and then we go through, we show you the different levels of law, and I use that as quotes, okay, because it's not law, it's actually all different. Anything created by man is not law. Okay, so law is something above man, okay, like natural law or divine law, if you like, or the laws of physics. Okay, anything below man is not law. Okay, so we show you the different levels of law just to give you an idea, to break it up, because the average person thinks law is just one big blob. Well, that's the law, I've got to follow it. So we have to show people the difference. We go through that. We'll show you how to protect your signature, the power of your signature, the colors of the ink. What does that mean? There'll be information showing you, if you've never written a notice before in your life, there's a guide on how to write out a notice and what does it all mean, and how to use different types of notices. There's some information on there on how a court is supposed to work, how warrants are supposed to work, and other information like affidavits, police. There's some information on there regarding the police. So all of it is there. It's like a stepping stone. It's a base level. So it's a foundation. So once you know all that, now you're good to go. And now you can start tackling the more complicated issues like ecclesiastical law, trust law, UCC, all this sort of stuff. That you've got to know the basics first. Okay. When you understand the basics, then you will understand the solutions. Because what I want to do is, a lot of people are panicking. All right. They get into this, they learn about the birth certificate, they look at the system and go, "Oh my God, I'm trapped for life." And I go, "No, you know, the system is incredibly fragile. It is so fragile, it's unbelievable." Because this is what I was researching. Because when I first got into it, I thought, "Oh no, how do I get out of this?" But then I found the solution and I went, "Oh my God, it's a bluff. They're bluffing." But you've got to learn it. You've got to put the time in. There are no silver bullets. There's no magic pills. All right. There's no quick fixes. Right. So don't leave it until you've got to go to court or the bailiffs are knocking on your front door and say, "Oh, I've got to figure this out." No, you've left it too late. Learn
Yeah.
it now while you have no problems. And then when in the next couple of years, when the problems start coming, you'll be ready to go. Okay. So the Sovereign Project does that, but there's many different layers to it. We're trying to sort the gold backs. We're trying to get that over here. We've got a crypto specialist on board, part of the team. We're trying to work out a solution for that. We're trying to do a business directory. So if you're a business and you're struggling, then sign up and you can advertise on our website. So I want to do a directory of businesses. Over time, we're hoping to have PMAs and trust packages that we can offer. In fact, I've got 2 trust specialists as part of the team. There's links on the website. So click on that if you want to know about trusts. But there's a lot more going on. I've barely scratched the surface of what the Sovereign Project's really all about.
No, I appreciate you explaining that. I mean, there's a lot of information on the website, so I would really encourage people to make sure that they're taking time to go to the website if you're interested, so that you can get more information, get connected, join, become a member.
Yep, member.
So that way you can get access to the non-community of people.
Correct. We don't like using community.
For the group of,
we call it a fraternity.
Sovereigns. Fraternity. Okay. So you can get access to the fraternity.
Yes.
The order.
Yes, I know. This is the problem. We struggle so long. What do we call it? Because every time you pick a word, it's got hidden connotations, and it's like, oh. But yeah, we settled on fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood.
let's take a moment about sovereignty, man.
Yeah.
When I think of the word sovereign prior to getting into this, I think of somebody who's not subject to someone else, but has others subject to them. I think of it like a monarch. You're like your kings or queens, things like that seem to be.
They're sovereign in title only, not in status. So there's a difference. So the way it works with a monarch, for example, a king or a queen, is they are actually below the people. So the people are sovereign in status, okay? But what they tend to do is they allow a leader, if you like, a king, to be king. And then he becomes sovereign in title. And now that is now operating like a sort of maritime law system. Because what you've done is the individual people have said, you know what, I'm going to give up my sovereign status. I'll give it to the king. Okay, the king is now sovereign in title, so he can now make the decisions for me, and I will be subject to the king. Although most people didn't have a choice in the matter if you look at history. But I'm just saying that's how it worked.
Well, okay, you mentioned that. So the word sovereign or sovereign.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yes, there's another word, sovereign.
Yeah, I don't know what would be more correct. I know it's just one of those kind of things. I was just curious what it meant, like the word meant to you.
Sovereign basically means that you control your dominion, you control your jurisdiction, okay, and you make the law within that jurisdiction. Basically, you own your land. Is what a sovereign is. Self-governing. That's right. You govern yourself. You decide what regulations you want to do. You don't vote. Sovereigns don't vote. Only the plebs vote. We elect. We say you do it.
Right.
But the sovereign mindset is there's no one above you. Okay, so no one has authority over you, but you can enter into contract with someone where you allow to give some of your authority and hand it over to them so they can control you in a limited capacity within the confines of a contract. And you would do this if you go and work for somebody. So your boss can tell you what to do, but it's limited to the contract, the 4 corners of that contract. Okay, but as a sovereign, you have the right to bear arms. And you don't get, there's another thing as well, rights. You don't get them from anyone else. They're yours. The sovereign decides what rights he has or she has. So that's the thing about sovereignty. You do not give away your authority to someone else. All right. So it's like the Constitution in America, which is a corporation, and the Second Amendment. I know there's a lot of arguments going on about the Second Amendment. And I'm trying to tell the American people, says, that doesn't give you your right to bear arms. You already have it.
Yeah, no, the Second Amendment to me was all about militia
within
which was our way of keeping the government in check if they happened to do something that was against the people, because it was supposed to be a government of and for and by the people. Supposed to be, but then there was this corporate federal takeover.
Yes. In fact, the American people, I believe, were sovereign for about 7 years when the country was first founded. Okay, you was the people who eventually, got off the boat and stood on that land. They were sovereign for about 7 years, and then after that, it wasn't, because they created the Constitution, and it all went downhill. At that point, when they created the Constitution, the people became the debtors. So, but that's another subject we can get into. But yeah, United States of America is a corporation. They have a president.
Well, I mean, I think pretty much every nation at this point
They
has
all are.
become a corporation.
Yes, every single one. All of them are corporations. They're all corporate. In fact, you can even look up the company number for some of these corporations. Some of them got DUNS numbers, and it's in your face. You just got to do the research.
Now, when people talk about looking up in the United States our social security number, I don't know what you guys call it in England. I know in
National insurance number.
national insurance number. Okay, so Canada is the SIN number.
Yeah.
It's the social identification number, I think.
Yeah, I think it could be right on that.
Is that I'm trying to word this the right way.
Sure.
When it comes to the social security number, is that what in combination the social security number and the birth certificate is what creates the corporate legal fiction at your birth?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated. Technically, what it is that
I remember what I was going to say now, though. Go ahead.
Okay, I could go through that if you want, or do you want to?
It was about Duns and Bradstreet, where people are talking about or going on like a site GMI utility or something like that, putting in their social information and seeing something on there. But is that relevant information?
Absolutely.
Is there something to that? Because it doesn't look like we're publicly traded. So is there like a private market where these things take place that we don't actually have access to seeing? Because I'm not, me being a realist and an open-minded skeptic, I'm not seeing where we're like the bonded surety on paper. Like it just seems like our bodies have been pledged as surety.
They have. The paperwork trail is there, and it's not easy. Okay, I know friends of mine, we mentioned a few names. They're actually going on their own journey to see if they can actually get to the paperwork trail. It's like having some of the pieces to the jigsaw. All right, you can put some pieces together. For example, if you look at your birth certificate, it will say Crown copyrighted, and you go, "Well, hang on a minute. I thought
is that for people who are in England?
Anyone?
I'm pretty sure mine doesn't have Crown Incorporated anywhere on it.
You got to double check to make sure. Do you have the birth certificate, or do you have an entry for a birth certificate?
I actually think I have the certificate of live birth. I'll show you. I'll show you after we're done, because I don't want to have all of my personal information being shared on screen, because there's something that people could misuse. But I'll show you. When I did the interview at KL, we were talking about the two different birth certificates, because he was saying basically one is signed by a doctor and one's not.
Yeah, the one will be signed by a registrar in the hospital, and every state hospital is a foundling hospital. This is where babies are actually abandoned, but a registrar will sign off on it.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to wrap up soon.
Okay.
Because I know I want to be respectful of your time, and I want to be able to continue the conversation. I've taken some great notes so that when we continue, we can pick up on like specific areas. I really wanted to get a good explanation, a good understanding about who you are, what you're up to, what the Sovereign Project is, and how people can get involved. The fact that there is no fee, I can't say. All I can tell people is, obviously, there's no charge. I would encourage people to get involved, but I would encourage people, and I'm sure Pete's going to appreciate this, fact check everything, question everything, make sure that all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, make sure that you're doing your due diligence and just not accepting what you're seeing, because you need to know all this stuff. You need to be able to live it, communicate it, live, eat, sleep, breathe, and shit it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, cool. Check it. You can have the information, but go and do your own fact checking, do your own due diligence, and don't take my word for it.
We're going to dive into the birth process. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Duns and Bradstreet stuff on future episodes. Something that you did mention, like with the directory. Are you? And I'm going to assume, since you had the black and yellow, and there was black and gold, that there was some connection to voluntarism. Are you familiar with agorism?
No, what's that?
Or like I'm an agorist, agorism or T. It's basically utilizing counter economics
Okay.
and parallel societies in a sense,
Okay.
which very
Okay.
much is in line with what you're talking about. Because like you
Yeah.
using, like for example, you wanting to use something like a gold back versus the currency issued by the UK government or central bank or whatever the case might be,
Yeah.
is you using counter economics to not participate in their system.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, the more of us that can be working on creating, utilizing counter economics and creating parallel marketplaces,
Mhm.
societies. If we think about the idea of private membership associations, private
Yeah.
contract association, however you want to do it, we can interconnect those
Yeah.
associations and have our own marketplaces.
Yeah.
We could have our own currency.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, if we elected to, we could choose puka shells. I mean, there was a time period in
Yes.
history where we used to use this as currency.
Yeah.
It's whatever we assign value to. So,
Well, the free market is your choice. That's how the free market works. I mean, the free market chose gold and silver as money. It
mhm,
wasn't governments and monarchs that did that. They just stole it from us. You know, it was us who decided. It was the free market. So, oh,
right,
gold works well. So, but yeah, anyone can accept anything they wish for money. That's what the free market is. It's your choice. You can take the fiat notes if you want. I don't want them.
right. No, I get you, man. Are you familiar when you started name dropping? I didn't hear this name come up, but I was thinking about it in the course of what you were talking about throughout this conversation. Mark Passio.
That name rings a bell. Yeah, well, I've heard that before. He rings a bell. You might have to give me a bit more
He
information.
teaches a lot about natural law, hermetics, anarchy.
Okay. Yes.
He's spoken at Anarchapulco with Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante. He's friends with Max Egan. He has a YouTube channel called What on Earth is Happening.
Oh, right.
He's been
Okay.
on my channel a couple times, but he's big into natural law. I tried to discuss some of the stuff in regards to the legal fiction, and
Yeah.
it's just not an area that he really touches much on. He just touches more on just natural law in general,
Okay.
which I just break down to do no harm.
That's what it is. Yeah.
You just
Oh,
don't
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 initiate harm.
defraud, don't hurt people,
Yeah.
don't
Stick to your
cause harm.
word. You know, that's it. You know, don't lie. I mean, you've probably got more contacts than I have. I mean, I see a lot of good groups out there. They've got good intentions and they want to sort of end the system, but they're all going off in different directions. I want to try and reach out to those sort of people and say, look, the system is incredibly fragile, incredibly fragile. If we could all actually focus together, you know, I
Well,
know.
so listen to this. It's funny you say that because I said that very same thing in 2020.
Yeah.
And I started you know, interviewing a bunch of people and saying, this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to start a gathering of minds, like a tribal council or something, like
Yeah.
where representatives from all these different groups can come together and work together, and all these different teachers and all these people who have a piece of the puzzle. And we could put the puzzle together and we could do this. That is a lot easier said than done.
I know.
Now,
I'm
since you
trying my best.
mentioned it, no, since you mentioned it though, and you seem to be passionate about it, and you've mentioned people that I would agree with. I feel like there can still be something done where there could still be some roundtable conversations that can
Yeah.
be recorded and people can learn information from that where ideas can be shared. It's just when when you have people that could be potentially controlled opposition, or you have people who think that their shit doesn't stink,
Mhm.
or that they're not wrong and it's not possible for them to be wrong, it makes it hard for them to play together.
Yes.
And it's difficult. It's sad. It's so sad that you can't get a group of adults on the same page that are fighting for the same goals,
I
same and
know.
same everything. But yet somebody's ego or something comes into play. I want to be the leader. I
Yeah.
want people to follow me. I want people to know who I am. I want everybody to know. You know, and that's again what I appreciate about you. That's what was refreshing about this conversation was
Cheers.
I wish people could have. I was just recording and people could have heard what you were saying. But yeah, you're a humble dude, man, and I appreciate that.
I
Thank
just
you.
want to do this, and once the system's collapsed, and go back to racing cars, because that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to do in my life.
It's crazy. You got to do all this work just so that you can get to a point where you can do the things that you actually want to do to enjoy
Yeah.
life. It's sad, man. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate the fraternity as well. I'm definitely gonna have to get involved, and I think maybe pulling together some of the right individuals, I think we can make some headways. I would love to get back in touch with Robert Odeck and
Yeah.
talk with him about collaborating on some video roundtables, bringing in like
I'll be up for
multiple conversations with like some of the people you mentioned. And if I could get Romley Stewart to come out from under his rock, that would be great.
Yeah, Romley, he's got some great stuff. He really does. But
I'll share a little bit of information. I don't want to get too personal with Romley stuff. I'll share a little bit with you after we're done. We're going to get ready to wrap up because I do want to be respectful of your time. It's like almost 11 o'clock at night for you. So before we wrap up, you've kind of told a little bit about yourself. We've talked about the Sovereign Project. We've got a plethora of information to follow up on. Is there anything that we didn't talk about, or anything that you want to share? And if not, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we just touched on the surface of what the Sovereign Project's about, because there's a lot more going on in the background. I'm trying to organize. I mean, I'm doing this 7 days a week now. No, all I want to say is, for this to work, there's two things that have to happen. People have got to change their mindset and become sovereign. Drop the slave mentality. Number two is a numbers game. Okay, so the more people who get involved and the more of us there are, the better chance we have of actually becoming free. So
I have this saying, Pete, that when enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have a similar saying where, when does the scam end? When everybody knows the scam. And when everyone understands the justice system and all the rest of it's a total scam and it's all fraudulent, then it comes to an end. But
I actually have a perfect quote that I used in a video not too long ago that I'm going to pull up real quick.
Okay.
And let me get rid of my logo here so that people can read this very clear, because it says, "It is well enough the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." And that is Henry Ford.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I totally agree with that. And most people have no clue.
No,
they really don't.
No, but it touches, and I thought you would appreciate it. It totally touches on what you were saying. I came from this in a very similar perspective, Pete. I kind of touched on the law stuff years ago. A lot of it was to try to get out of trouble for driving without a license and stuff like that, like most people. But this time I didn't have anything I was getting in trouble with. So I wasn't going into this with trying to get out of something. I was getting into this to learn. And it's been refreshing, but I came from my real awakening was like you, the money. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, 9/11 was 9/11, but the money thing is like a really big eye opener when you start to really get it. Like, when I don't have the image, but it's a meme that has like a dollar bill and a $1 Monopoly bill. And it says the difference between these two pieces of paper is that you think one actually has value over another.
Correct.
And then when you start to come to that realization and realize that it's all just a bunch of grown-ups playing make-believe. It's like, what are we in the Muppet Babies land or something? What happened? Did we not grow up?
I know. And I mean, some of the stuff I've uncovered, it's obvious. When I talk to people, I do a little presentation. When I talk about it, people go, "Oh God, why didn't I see that?" I get it all the time. It's in your face. A lot of the stuff I talk about is literally right there, but people just can't see it.
Can't see the forest for the trees, as they say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, man? I know I interrupted you with throwing in some stuff.
That's no worries. All I'd say is, I know we spoke about the Sovereign Project website, which is the sovereignproject.live. If you want to get involved, we have a lot of people who's part of the team that you can get in contact with. So if you want to collaborate with us, there's an email there under collaborations. If you want to be part of the business directory, get in contact. There's an email there as well. We have a crypto specialist. So if you want to get into crypto, we've got someone who can handle that for you. If you are ex-police or ex-military and you realize you've been used, okay, we have someone there you can talk to. You can get involved. We have a trust specialist now, so you can get in contact with people like that can help you out with trusts. And if you're interested in a workshop and the chess clubs we do, chess club is code word, there is a link on there. I think I might say official chess club. Yeah, official workshops. There you go.
Yeah, what is chess club a code word for?
Yeah, we can't discuss everything online.
I love it.
We have chess clubs, and we obviously have the official sovereign workshops as well. They're the live ones. So if there's one local to you, get in contact, and these people are doing the same sort of stuff as me.
So you guys are doing in-person events, or this is just locations of people?
Nope, that's in person. They hold a workshop every evening, either a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Monday. It will say there, and there's a venue you can go to, and they do a different presentation every evening. Okay, they do a 22-week course, all live, and you'll meet other people as well. So you're not alone anymore. So you can go there, you could talk with people, you learn this stuff. Once you've done the course, the 22-week course, you should have a good foundation, and now you're ready for the chess clubs. So the chess club is really for people who know what they're doing, and now we can start getting into the remedies.
Is everybody sharing the same course?
Yes, it's the same course. It's a 22-week course.
Like the one that you offer here is the same one that they would get if they just are getting it presented by different individuals.
Yes, that's right. We have a different person presenting. It's the same course that I do here in Leicester, and we are planning on doing it online as well, because a lot of people have emailed us from all over different countries saying, oh, I want to do the course, but I'm in Canada or I'm in America. And they keep saying, will you do it online? Will you do it online? Yes, we will. We're putting it together. If you want to register interest. And when we're ready, we'll email you and says, yeah, we're going to do it online for you as well.
Is that what this is about right here? That's on screen?
I think it is. That's it. Yeah, online course, complete the sovereign course. That's right. If you're interested, if you register interest, we had to get enough people to do it though, because it means me giving up another evening because it will be live online. So if enough people want to do it, I'll do it.
I may get involved. I definitely want to, learn more about the Sovereign Project. So, and again, everything we talk about is going to be linked down below. You got anything else that you want to add, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good for now. That's great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope I wasn't too rude. Us Americans,
I enjoyed myself.
Them American people, man.
Them Americans.
So if you could bear with me 1 second, man, it's going to do the wrap up. Again, we're recording this on the 31st of January. It'll just be out in a couple days, but patrons will get early access unedited. So I appreciate you guys. If you're not a patron, consider my fundraiser that I'm doing that I've shared throughout today's video. I've shared on other previous videos. Make sure you're subscribed here at Rice TV, or excuse me, Rice Against the Grain, and my other channel, Rice TVX. I got to get that straight, man. I just started this new channel just a couple months ago because of censorship. And so I have Rice TVX is focusing on the crypto and economic stuff, where Rice Against the Grain kind of goes down the rabbit holes of the fringe topics, law, spirituality, hidden and alternative history, and stuff like that. So make sure you subscribe to both channels. Follow me on all my socials. And before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this. I encourage you, as always, to be a blessing to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch you want to see in the matrix, and be the change that you want to see in this world. And until next time, practice change.